Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. And yes, today we are doing another lesson in insanity. While we deviate from time to time from military and foreign affairs, I think this falls into the realm of what's happening in the world today. Now, first, did anybody get to watch? I'm sure someone has. It's obviously an incredibly, immensely popular program, and that's the Joe Rogan podcast. Did you get to watch the podcast with Riley Gaines a couple of days ago, talking about her interactions and dealing with the NCAA and specifically Will Thomas, the poor male swimmer, meaning not poor in wealth, but poor in swimming abilities, at least against men, and then decided to race against women and break many NCAA swimming records. It is truly, watching that podcast is truly, in and of itself, a lesson in insanity. It's craziness. What's also interesting, I have been watching the hypocrisy of the electric vehicle industry. Obviously, some governments around the world, specifically here in the United States, especially state governments, California, I'll name one, obviously has been very pro-electric vehicle. Very pro-electric vehicle. Now, traditionally speaking, here in the United States, if you look at good-paying union jobs, those good-paying union jobs have normally been with the car industry, Ford, GM, what have you. I mean, who doesn't want a good-paying job? I think if you look at some of the most recent challenges with, say, UPS. Recently, they've been talking about, there's been discussions about how much a UPS driver makes versus, say, a driver for Amazon. I mean, quite literally, a UPS driver can make double, triple, quadruple what a Amazon driver can make. And one of the reasons for that is UPS is a unionized organization, and Amazon is not. Now, what's the hypocrisy around the EV industry? Traditionally, the left here in the United States has been very pro-union. Very much so. They have supported the United Auto Workers. And again, that has benefited a large class of semi-skilled to skilled labor. Now, within the EV industry, I would say, obviously, you have the big dog on the block, Tesla. Okay, they are building cars at scale, and to my understanding, most of their production facilities are non-union. Correct me if I'm wrong, if there are some Tesla facilities that are union, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Then you have the other EV companies, Rivian, Lucid, Fisker. None of these companies, these automotive companies, these up-and-coming electric vehicle automotive companies, are union outfits. They don't have a unionized workforce. at all. Some of these companies, these electric vehicle companies, have actually been accused of union busting. So it's ironic, it's interesting that you have these very much left-leaning companies, with the exception of Tesla. Tesla, I would say, is not a outspoken proponent of DEI and the whole left-wing orthodoxy that you see in some other EV companies. Many of these other EV companies have fully embraced this DEI left-wing orthodoxy. And it's just not, obviously, just EV companies. But EV companies, I would say, are more liberal and left-leaning than many other companies in the United States, with the exception being that of Tesla. But none of these companies, again, none of these EV companies that are very much left-leaning embrace unions. They don't want anything to do with them. And again, a matter of fact, you can do your own research, but a couple of these companies have been accused by U.S. governmental bodies, agencies, of trying to prevent union activity within their business units. And very interesting to see that. Again, states such as California fully embracing the EV industry, at the same time fully embracing what they call workers' rights and union activities, but not so much in the EV space. I have to wonder that if some of these newer EV companies were to go union, would they even survive? I mean, they're struggling right now. It's a very challenging environment in terms of the EV industry. Again, Tesla is the only company that's really gone to scale. They're having problems, there are struggles, there are challenges. And ultimately, a union moving in would very much likely end some of those businesses, because they would have to pay their workers more. There would be things that they could not do that the unions simply wouldn't allow. It's, again, very interesting to see this happening. And again, traditional automakers have to embrace a unionized workforce. But again, these left-leaning EV car makers, again, not so much. Not so much. Very, very interesting. What's your thoughts on that? And then again, back going over to the Rogan Riley Gaines interview. What if you were to watch that again 30 years ago, 40 years ago? If you were shown that interview as something that was going to happen in the future, what would you think? Would you believe that what Riley Gaines experienced as a swimmer in college 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, if you would have seen that, would you believe that could actually happen? And I would say, me personally, going back to the 80s, if you showed me that, just going off of common sense, reason, I would say, no, absolutely not. I would say that what I was looking at in terms of that interview and what happened to Riley Gaines would have been a work of fiction, something that humans would not accept. But here it is. It's happening. Now, again, what concerns me the most, not just that the current administration, the current government here in the United States supports that sort of ideology. And that is what makes me take a hard look at, let's say, international decision-making processes. If governmental bodies are allowing that to happen with Riley Gaines, which is clearly a mistake. It's far extreme left-wing orthodoxy. So again, I have to ask the question, what else is the government getting wrong? What is being driven by emotions? What is being driven by, let's be inclusive, over logic, over reason? What else is happening? Now, a viewer sent me a quick short, a YouTube short. I want to play this and tell me if you believe this to be true. I have no reason to believe that what you're about to hear isn't true. But I'm going to go ahead and play it. And
in Russia last year, 400 people were arrested for things that they said on social media. 400 people in Russia. Obviously, this country is very different. How many people do you think were arrested in Britain for things they said on social media last year?
Go on.
Take a guess.
I have no idea.
3,300.
Really? Arrested for what they said on social media?
Yeah.
What sort of things get you arrested?
Well, one example I give in my show is there was a young woman from Liverpool called Chelsea Russell, and people can look this up. Her friend was killed in a car crash, 19-year-old woman, and she posted the lyrics of his favorite song on her Instagram. And it was a rap song, so the lyrics contained several instances of the N-word. She was arrested, prosecuted, found guilty, given 500 hours of community service and a fine, tagged, and for a year she was under 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. curfew.
My goodness.
In Britain.
In Britain.
In 2018. In Russia last...
Well, there it is. So again, just a quick synopsis. In terms of persons arrested in Russia for comments made on social media, according to this short, is in the hundreds, the low hundreds. In the United Kingdom, it's in the thousands. Who has tyrannical rule? Is it Russia? Or is it the United Kingdom? You are more likely, again, according to this, to be arrested in the United Kingdom. And remember, the United Kingdom has less of a population than Russia. Probably as many social media users, I would say, maybe. But again, a couple hundred arrested in Russia for what they have said on social media. Thousands arrested in the United Kingdom. That was very interesting to see that excerpt, that short. I appreciate David for sending that to me, and I've watched it. and now have shared it. What do you think about that? In Russia, do you have the same thing occurring in terms of what's happening with Riley Gaines? I would say no. I would say just the opposite is happening in Russia. So I have to hit the pause button as I watch what is happening in Ukraine, and I have to ask questions. Questions lead to answers and more questions. And everyone should do that. Critical thinking. That is now disallowed in most U.S. university. Critical thinking. Critical thinking will get you canceled in the indoctrination centers called universities here in the United States. Just like what happened with Riley Gaines. She was not able to speak out. She was not able at the time that this was happening with Will Thomas, the man racing against her, breaking all the female records as a 6'4", 200-pound male racing against women. Insanity. And there you have it. More lessons in insanity. Tell me what you think. Have a good day.